We live in a time when it is easier than ever to feel directionless. There's a couple of reasons for this, in my opinion. First reason, when we used to live in smaller communities, when we used to live in tribes, your work, your commitment to that tribe in the work that you did was essential for giving everyone the best chance of survival. Whether your job was collecting food or whether your job was building shelter or something else, whatever your job was, it served a very important purpose because you knew what you were doing was contributing to other people's success or growth within that community. Comparing that to present day, if you have no one that relies on you, if you have no commitments to anyone, no one relies on you financially, emotionally, physically, whatever the case is, you don't need to contribute anything. If you contribute or not, life continues, things continue moving on. And this puts you in a position of feeling like, okay, if my life or my direction doesn't actually help or hinder anything, then taking part in that game is a difficult first step to make because it makes you think, like, why not just be selfish? Why not just take care of me and see what happens? Like, I don't need to help anyone else, so why even bother? I think that's the first reason, how things have changed so dramatically. And there are so many different jobs you can do. Most of the time, the highest paying jobs as well are ultimately the least fulfilling, the least rewarding. You look at jobs such as in the financial space, where you are working in a system for the most part that is based completely on fiat currency. You have no real fulfilling reason because the work you're doing is not helping nor hindering anyone. I say that I'm basing this off the assumption that you are trading in the financial markets for a large bank, as an example. Although your trades that you're taking are dependent on world events, in you personally taking those trades, it doesn't really achieve anything. You're not really contributing to society in a positive nor negative way, regardless if a terrible event happens or a really good event happens. It doesn't matter. So the next reason being the higher paying jobs, which you think would be more fulfilling because you're getting paid more, so you feel more valuable, ultimately in that specific example, are not fulfilling because you're not doing anything, you're not contributing anything. On the other hand, the more low paying jobs, if we look at the most fulfilling jobs ever, I don't have the data in front of me, but I'm going to base my assumption as to be fact. That being that the most fulfilling jobs are probably charity work, volunteering, because you know that the work you're doing is ultimately helping another person to a far greater extent than you are being paid because those jobs are paid far less if you're even getting paid. You look at some of the work people do just volunteering, they're not getting paid anything, but they probably feel great because they know that they're being selfless. They're doing something with no expectation of reward. But the reality is, you cannot live off of just doing volunteering work unless you have a really amazing support network behind you with friends or family, whatever that case is. And in today's day and age, that's very difficult to have, especially when it's not even your choice if you have that or not. I'm mainly basing this on the assumption of it being a family. You don't choose your family. If your family just happen to not very be or happen to be not very economically healthy, let's say, they don't have a lot of money, it's impossible for them to support that dream. It's impossible for them to support that fulfilling work. So to tie this all together, you have to, in some capacity, do some line of work that you don't necessarily love doing because you need to make enough money to be able to afford to do the work that is fulfilling, that gives you purpose, that gives you direction. Final point I want to touch on. We have social media, and social media every single day is pouring information down your throat about how you're not good enough and how you don't have direction and you're not grinding hard enough. You're not being a grind set alpha male. I see this as very dangerous because ultimately getting to the place you want to get to is very different for every person. And saying or looking at one person's life and saying, this is the way to do it. This is the way I'm going to do it. And them telling you, if you don't do the life or you don't do life the way that I've done life, you're a failure and you're never going to be successful. And if you've never had a strong, healthy, masculine person in your life or a masculine figure in your life, I'm speaking to the men here, then that's very easy to be impressed upon. To look at that and say, I want that life. I need to follow what he's doing because he's a healthy, strong, masculine man. When at the end of the day, do they have your best intentions at heart? I'm not going to say yes or no, but do they? To put this all together as a closing statement, it's so easy to have no direction when there is no need for you to have direction. But in finding that thing that's going to give you direction is not going to be an easy task to go on because it's going to take a lot of trial and error, a lot of rejection. You're going to feel terrible at times. You're going to feel like a failure at times. I'm here to tell you that it's okay to feel those things, but it's about how quickly you feel those things and you manage to recover back to baseline so you can continue on your journey. Because at the end of the day, I genuinely believe that thing is out there for you. It's just going to take an absolute battle to actually find it. If it's easier for you, God bless. I'm glad it is. But setting that expectation, I'm setting that expectation for you, is going to be really, really difficult. So when you do start this journey, which I hope, I pray to God it happens soon for you, that when you're on that journey, you have the expectation of being so difficult. So when you actually get to doing that work, it's not going to feel as bad. That is my hope for you. Again, like I've said in so many videos before, I don't believe it's as easy having some help. I literally said that completely wrong. I believe that having some support and help along the way will make it far, far easier. For that, I say go find God. Go build a relationship with Him. Spend time with Him every single day if you can, in any capacity that is. Even if that's a case of just sitting down and just having a conversation, that is far, far better than trying to take on all that work, all that emotional, physical turmoil on your own is not worth it when you have him reaching out his hand, waiting to have you reach back out. I hope this has been beneficial. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk once again. Have a great day.